Hello, hello. I'm Angie Sea, and this is A Hug in a Better Place. The book today is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr, or Doerr. I hope one of those is pronounced correctly. This was a very beautiful book to really... It's one of those books that I can't just capture with adjectives because it's a flourish in writing, and it's a great introduction to this author because this just really shows off his vocabulary, his penmanship, and his ability to compose these very poetic flowing prose without feeling like he tried too hard or he was too narcissistic about his writing. So I really appreciated that. It was just a really well-written book. And the fact that the characters were so wonderful, and the story itself, though it's a very simple line of events, it was very well put together because I think this book was a huge risk, and it could have easily been a mess, essentially, because it's jumpy. He wrote it in the way so that didn't turn out to be too jumpy, because that was the one thing that I would have liked to see this book in, was if the whole thing was in a chronological order. But because the narrative and the focus of the characters are already changing, so I felt that with the change in time as well, it became a little too much sometimes, and I felt like the fact that you're sitting there putting the pieces back together, it took away a little bit from the writing and the story and just everything that was going on, because it's a really intricately woven story and written in a very intricately woven way, because as I said, these are short chapters and you're getting glimpses of these characters. I feel like this would make an absolutely wonderful movie, because it would just be these snapshots of these characters that are supposed to all connect at some point. And it's not, for once, I'm not sitting there reading the book waiting for the moment where the characters connect, because the story beforehand and leading up to it is just so wonderfully done. So I felt like at the end it wasn't about the meeting. I mean, that was a big part of the climax of the story, but I felt like nothing was wasted beforehand, so that you're not just sitting there waiting for that, because it's a pretty long book, and I enjoyed how long it was, and because the chapters were so short and everything flowed so well, it didn't feel as long as it is, which is absolutely wonderful. Like, I just loved it. Despite me being sick and stuttering over my words here and there, this was a very beautiful and captivating book. And it took a different angle on a wartime story. And it brought your focuses to things like the radio and the beach and like the settings of the little small towns and the children, and it was just it was a great contrast to something, say, like Schindler's List or something that's very, very dramatic, and it's really right there in the battlefield, whereas this was very it almost had the Cold War sense, except the participants weren't ever really sure what their impact was until these little moments would happen. And I guess that's what made this book so amazing, was there was always these little moments of imagery that just was written so well, and it just, you saw it in your mind, you felt it, you heard it, you sensed it, and it was just, that I really enjoyed. The thing that I'm a little bit weary about is, and I think this is a personal matter because I face the inevitability of becoming blind. So for me, this book did romanticize blindness a little bit for me. And I mean, I hope being blind is as Anthony describes it and draws it out to be, because it just, it was beautiful in a way, and I hope that is what reality can be. But all that aside, I definitely recommend this to everyone who's of age, because I feel like it's one of those books that it takes a certain level of reading skills, essentially, to really get everything that's going on, so you're not looking up words, and because, as I said, there is some great vocabulary in there and it all fits in, but it's also, and then there's also like subtle things that I wouldn't want you to miss out on. So it's a book worth rereading or reading when you feel like you're at a good level of comprehension, let's put it. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this one. Thank you for listening to another episode of A Hug in a Better Place, and I will talk to you next time. Bye now.